So hello, everybody. I am Annabeth Moyer-Bell, and I am the founder and the executive director of COAST, which stands for Creating Outreach About Addiction Support Together. We have an acronym like all other good nonprofits do. So we've been working on this performance for about a month or so now. I've been working with my drama therapist intern, Jennifer from Lesley University, and we've been really having these conversations during rehearsals and also during the script writing about how we create therapeutic theater for an online audience. You know, when you're in the room with us, if you've been in the room with us before, you can feel the community aspect, you can feel the actors, you can connect, right? And so is there a way to really create that feeling while we're, you know, when we're not near each other? So that's what we're attempting to do tonight. I just want to say a big shout out to our sponsors for this performance, Jim and Sharon Seymour. I know they're on here tonight. Hello, Jim and Sharon. Thank you for supporting this pilot performance. We're calling this What's Behind the Mask. And what I've done is I've taken one of the scenes about PTSD from my second play, and I've kind of taken those characters and adapted it to present day, taken the characters and put them into present day. What would it be like for those characters to be going through this pandemic the way we are right now? So with that being said, I'm going to have Jennifer jump on here, and she is going to give you, if you've been to our performances before, we always give a therapeutic disclaimer. And she's going to give you the new version of our therapeutic disclaimer. Jennifer, there she is.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. All right, I'm going to jump off.
Bye, Annabeth. So, like Annabeth said, I'm Jennifer Anstead, and I'm the drama therapy intern with COAST. And I just want to sort of prepare you for what you're going to see and talk to you about what you can do if maybe this subject matter is too heavy for you. So like Annabeth said, our piece tonight comes from a play that we've done before, and it takes characters from the show who are all dealing with substance use disorder or have been affected in some way by the opioid epidemic, and they're all in different places on this journey of growth, recovery, healing, dealing with their trauma, their addiction, or their treatment during this global pandemic. And so this subject matter can be heavy. It can be tough for us to grapple with. So we just ask that you pay attention to your body and your reactions as you watch the show, and just take care of yourself. When we're doing these in person, we usually ask the audience to take some deep breaths. That can really kind of help you reconnect with yourself and regulate things that come up for you. But since we're in this really unique situation, you can mute the audio on your computer or your phone. You can completely leave the webinar for a minute if you need to. You can step away from the screen for a moment and figure out how to take care of yourself. But we are doing a short Q&A/talk back at the end, and we're going to kind of process and give you a chance to ask questions and discuss this this show with us and the things that come up for you. So we just ask if you do step away and you are able to come back to us at the end to process, that would be great, because then you can kind of take that to us and ask us some questions and grapple with those things that have come up for you with us together. So thank you again for coming. This is a really fun, unique situation. And without further ado, we're going to start the show. Enjoy. This is called What's Behind the Mask.
Trauma comes from exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence. This can be experienced directly, witnessed occurring to others, or even come from learning about these events happening to family and friends. Prolonged symptoms following traumatic events may develop into post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Survivor's guilt occurs when a person feels like they've done something wrong for surviving a traumatic event when others did not. Most people associate this disorder with veterans.
Man, after coming home from the war, I was depressed. I mean, that coupled with the pain pills that I was taking from my accident in combat, and I fell deep in the hole of addiction. And those days were darker than days in Iraq. And I just kept thinking to myself, man, like, the fuck is wrong with me? You know? What am I doing here? Alive? Booting heroin. When my brothers, Jones and Wilson, man, they died on the battlefield.
PTSD presents with many symptoms, one of which can be recurrent distressing dreams. In children, this can present as nightmares without recognizable content.
When I was a little girl, I used to wake up in the middle of the night in a pool of water, sweat soaked through my clothes, pillows, into the mattress. I used to take off my pajamas and hide them under the bed until I could throw them in with the maid's wash the following day. My nanny told me she used to hear me screaming in my sleep. When I was 5, I found my mom overdosed on the floor of the master bathroom. So I think that's when they started.
Sometimes negative alterations in cognitions and moods associated with the traumatic event begin or worsen after the incident.
When I was a kid, my father was stabbed to death in jail. What I learned was that my father's life didn't matter. Not to the state who had him rotting way behind bars, or the men who killed him. If he could be killed like that without a care in the world, so can I. My life didn't matter. Trust didn't matter. Can't trust no one. Who says they ain't gonna stab you in the back?
Negative associations or alterations in reactivity can occur as a result of PTSD.
When I overdosed the second time, so did my boyfriend. Luckily, the Narcan was able to bring us both back, but it took the paramedics many more hits of Narcan to revive him. After that, I found it hard to concentrate at work. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. Anytime my daughter cried, I found myself angry, yelling at her. Shut up! Good parents don't yell at their crying children.
Some with this diagnosis suffer from dissociative reactions, which may occur on a continuum, from brief episodes to complete loss of consciousness.
My son Leo's favorite cereal was Frosted Flakes. When he was little, he used to sneak extra boxes into my shopping cart when I wasn't looking. I learned to avoid the cereal aisle, or else after his death, because I would lose time. I would find myself in the driveway at home with the groceries by my side, but no recollection of the checkout line or driving home.
Individuals with a diagnosis of PTSD are also more likely to be diagnosed with other disorders, such as depression, anxiety, or substance use disorders. These individuals are at more risk of suicide. I'm happy to say that after her last relapse, Sam is back home quarantining with her family safely.
Every time I look at them now, I just think of what I put them through, what I keep putting them through. How can I really fix it but to disappear?
They didn't teach us how to be therapists in a global pandemic. Hey, Alan.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going? How you holding up?
oh, man. Honestly, I don't even know what fucking day it is, so I don't know.
Tell me more about that.
I don't know. It's kind of like when I was in active duty on the base, you know? All those days just kind of ran together like Groundhog Day. Kind of feels like that now. But I don't know. I guess better on base because at least it was bigger than my fucking house.
It's pretty normal to feel a sense of timelessness when you're going through a traumatic event, unfortunately.
Yeah. So then what do I do about it?
Have you practiced some mindfulness techniques? Really paying attention to your body? You can practice some of those breathing exercises I taught you in group. Alan? Alan, are you still there?
This whole coronavirus thing has really screwed up my routine. Like, it's probably just 5G and Bill Gates, right? Anyway, I feel like sometimes I get sucked down an internet hole and I'm totally dysregulated. Sleeping past noon, I can't do any of my self-care routine. I can't go to yoga. I can't get acupuncture. I don't know what to do. And people are dying, you know?
Yeah, this is really scary stuff. What if you created a schedule for your week? You know, planned out some activities you could do each day, some at-home self-care routine.
Yeah, but I don't want to stress myself out with some kind of strict calendar.
No, just some activities each day that you can look forward to.
Okay, I'll try it, but I'm not going to be one of those people that feels guilty for not doing enough because capitalism already makes us feel like we're not valuable if we're not productive, right?
You're right. This is a really hard time for all of us right now. I'm really sorry. We're out of time. I'll see you at the same time next week.
Yeah, see you then.
See you then.
I'm fine when I'm at work. I do what needs to be done. When I'm treating patients, I feel like I have control over this thing. But my daughter's still at my mom's. There's too high a risk that I might infect her.
That sounds really hard. It sounds like you're doing okay when you're at work. What about when you get home and you can't be with her?
I don't even know how to answer that. I've been so frustrated with my mom lately. The other day, I went by her house after second shift because I needed to see my daughter and she wouldn't let me in. The argument got so loud that it woke the neighbors, so I just left.
Sounds like you're still pretty upset about that.
Great observation. Where'd you learn that, at school?
Are you upset with me?
This has nothing to do with you.
I can't stop watching the news. It goes on in the morning and it follows me throughout the day. It makes me so angry, but I can't look away.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to numb yourself
My
when you're
house
feeling really.
is just a mess. My dish is in the sink. The cat box is overflowing.
It sounds like you need to mark out some like daily activities.
I feel
Yourself.
useless.
Karen?
I feel like my life is just floating by.
Karen, can you hear me?
It's like
Karen.
that woman in the cereal aisle again, way up above the boxes, looking down, watching, aimless.
Have you talked to your family about how you're feeling?
Oh, they're already, so worried about my dad and about everything that's going on. I don't want to add to that.
Connection keeps us alive, Sam.
I know.
Well, okay, so it sounds like you haven't left your room. Are you playing guitar like we talked about?
I mean, not really. It seems like a waste of time.
Why is that?
I don't even know if I'm going back to school. So what's the point?
What if you use like FaceTime or Zoom to get together with your classmates in the same program and play guitar with them? Or you could even perform for your family in the living room.
Yeah, I could try that.
You're gonna have to leave your room for that, Sam. Hey, Alan, I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, sorry, man. I was practicing some of my mindfulness techniques. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, where were we?
I got a question for you, though.
Yeah, what's up?
You heard from Miguel? Anything about Miguel?
I haven't been able to get through to him, unfortunately.
This is a prepaid collect call from
Miguel Harris.
an inmate at Rhode Island Department of Corrections.
Being locked up in jail has never felt safe. But now, the virus is waiting for around you, every corner. Social distancing in jail? Sure. There's not even 6 feet between you and your neighbor, let alone your cellie. Wash my hands to the birthday song? Okay. But what about the hundreds of guys breathing down my neck in the child line? If one person gets it, we all get it.
This is hard for all of us. Whatever your response is, it's okay. It's normal. I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself to stay productive, to help as many clients as I can, to be useful. It is important that you know that we are going through this trauma right now too. And we are feeling guilty about not being able to provide you with everything that you need. I'm doing my best, even though it doesn't feel good enough. We all have to grapple with the fact that right now, good enough is good enough.
Yay.
Hey, so that's the show. I'm just gonna clap for all of you because I know you had a great time. And I'm gonna have the cast and crew join us again with their faces and their audio. So once again, I'm Jennifer Anstead. I'm the drama therapy intern with Coast. And I'm gonna lead a 10 to 15 minute talk back or Q&A with you guys. So you can participate by either asking questions on the Facebook event or on our Facebook page, but there's also a Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen if you're joining us from Zoom. And you can type your questions there. And as those questions come up, Annabeth and I will address them and kind of bat the responses back and forth through the cast and crew and others who are joining us, and we'll just kind of discuss the experience we just had. So just as a guide, these questions, this Q&A can be whatever it needs to be. We welcome questions about our process. We welcome questions about Narcan, about the opioid epidemic, about our organization, but they can also be questions and comments and discussion topics that came up for you as you watched the show, emotions that you felt, connections that you made. And I'm gonna start us off with a question from someone named Sissy.
Alex!
And the question says, has any consideration been given to legislature that would allow everyone to have free access to Narcan. There have been 3 incidents in my life where I've seen people go down on the street from an overdose. So I'm going to toss that to Annabeth and see how you want to answer that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I'm not sure if Sissy came back to join us. I know she was on earlier when we were in rehearsal. Great question. I know that here in the state of Rhode Island, you can get free Narcan from our folks, our friends at Pony, our friends at Rye Cares. And right now, actually in Rhode Island during COVID, you can get Narcan delivered to your front door step in your mailbox, no questions asked. What I will do is I will post the cell phone number that you can text or you can call and you can say, hey, I need some Narcan. You can also get fentanyl testing strips delivered. You don't even have to talk to the person at all. They'll just put them, no questions asked, in your mailbox. And I think that's a really important thing right now for everybody in the state to have, especially if you have somebody that you love that is struggling. And right now, a reoccurrence of symptoms, and that's for any of us, right? Any of us who struggle with substance use, any of us who struggle with anxiety, depression, just generalized stress, we're gonna have a lot more symptoms right now. So I think I really love that question. I'm not sure where Sissy was from, but I know here in the state of Rhode Island, you can get Narcan even right now for free delivered to you. So Jennifer, do you want to read the next question?
Thank you. Yeah, so the next question is from Andy Short, and it says, can you talk about the writing process? Was there one writer more? What research did you do? So I know that I can talk about the writing process of the Zoom call segment of it, but I'd love to see if you want to talk about the writing process and the research of the original characters from our other play.
Yeah, so all of these characters, if you've seen us before, are characters that you've seen before. These are really, these all represent people that I've met or multiple people that I've met in real life. And I would say probably the actors could also attest to the fact that they've probably met people like their character out on the road. And our actors give life to these characters. I don't want to talk the whole time, so I'm going to pass it down to Rachel over here on my screen. I'm curious to know how you resonate with your character and if you also resonate with what your character is going through right now in COVID. You're unmuted.
That's me, Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel, sorry, Alan.
/Alan.
Yeah, just making sure. What do I resonate with my character? Feeling a loss of time, certainly. Sometimes I feel like time is moving incredibly slowly. And yesterday was one of those days for me. I felt like it was at least 3 days was Monday. And other days, the entire day just passes me by without me even being aware of what I've done. Or somebody will ask me, oh, what did you do yesterday? And I actually can't remember, which is wild and not something that I'm used to. I have a very busy schedule normally and used to keeping myself really scheduled. So having a lot of time on my hands can be really scary, and I can feel like I'm getting lost inside myself and inside my head and in my thoughts, and it can be a dangerous place. So what I've been working on with myself is grounding, is getting my body outside on the earth, my bare feet or my bare hands on the ground and breathe it in. And that might sound really hippy dippy to some people, but you know, we just got to connect to what's really here. And that for me is so meaningful and so helpful. So if you find that you have the time to do that, and it really doesn't take long, it can just be one breath, one moment, that you just take a minute to look around you and see what's up, where am I, where's my body, where am I now, and just try to move forward from there.
Thank you. You know what I'm realizing we didn't do, Jennifer?
Can I also?
You're welcome.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
we also, before we go into what Chris is going to say, can we also just introduce ourselves? Because we're in a virtual format, this ritual is all new to me. It's all kind of turned on its head. So if we could just go through, I'll go Jennifer, we've got Jennifer, me, and then I'm going to go Jane. You can just give us your full name and the character you play.
Oh, that's me. I'm Jane Bird, reporting for duty. I play Sam in, I used to play Sam in Act 1 and now in Act 2 and now in Zoom World.
Thank you. And then Rachel.
So I'm Rachel Tondro, and I play Alan.
Chris.
I'm Chris Rodriguez. I play Anthony.
We've got Ron here.
Hi, I'm Ronald Lewis, and I directed this piece with Annabeth and with Jennifer.
Thank you. JR.
I'm J.R. Adams, and I played Miguel.
Emma, sorry.
I'm Emma Sacchetti. I play Evie.
And I am Tiffany Fenton, and I play Trisha.
And I'm Carol Drews, and I play Karen.
Okay, Chris, you want to say something, and then I want to move on to. There's so many questions rolling in right now.
Yeah, and this comes from my own personal experience in this pandemic, so I don't want to make it seem like I'm brushing too broadly, but I do want to say, along with what Rachel's saying, I think it's important right now for people to really pay attention to themselves and what's going on. For a lot of you, you might be in the same situation as me or just in a different situation. My situation right now is I'm not working. So I'm literally living a life where I'm not expected to go to work and the government is paying me to live right now. And that has its own guilt involved with it. And I definitely care about like my friends who are not in that situation right now and trying to help them. But I would also say what it's afforded me is the ability to confront loneliness, time in my room. Those are depressive things for me. I have a lot of trauma from experiences in my room, and I have been able to do work redefining that space for myself and finding it empowering. And so I only say this to just really echo what Rachel said. Pay attention to yourselves, try and be kind. And if you're capable of doing that in this time, you might find that you have more strength than you realize, and you might start building a stronger foundation. But also at the end of the day, it's about breathing and getting through each day. So take care of yourselves.
Thank you. That was a great answer, Chris. And my stepmother, Fran, actually asked the question, what are some of the benefits of spending all this time at home during quarantine? So that was a really beautiful answer to that, Chris. Jennifer, you want to lead us into another question?
Yeah. And I do also want to acknowledge that there was a question in the chat that just said, so is this your first virtual performance? Are you doing more? And yeah, this is our first virtual performance. We adapted it from something that we already had and kind of tried to explore what these characters would be experiencing in their recovery and their trauma over Zoom and with their therapist, Anthony. So we'll have to just keep you updated, and I think this has gone really well, so we'll see.
Yeah, and thank you. That was Susan all the way from Oregon. Yay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks for doing that. So there's also a comment that says the closure was really powerful. That will have to be part of my mantra moving forward. I appreciate that. And then we have a question from someone who says that they really resonated with what Karen said about just staring off into the distance, feeling lost. How do we stay present emotionally in this time when sometimes just not feeling at all is better? I'm wondering if we can hear from anyone, either from their own experience or maybe from what their character has been going through at this time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have been using is music. I am often too busy to listen to music, and I work in an office where there are other people and I really can't play my music. So I've been working from home, and I have been just reveling in the ability to play whatever I want, whenever I want, as loud as I want. And also just finding some artists that I probably never would have explored, because a lot of people are sharing their playlists. So if you find yourself kind of stuck, that might be something to try.
Thank you, Carol.
I don't know if this is true for anyone else, but I feel like this might be one of the first springs that I've really noticed. That I watch these two turtle doves. I have some seeds growing. I'm birding. So I don't know. I just feel like the one lucky thing, someone said to me the other day, can you imagine if we were facing this going into a really long winter, especially where we are in the Northeast for most of us? And I just thought that's something that actually I feel lucky that at least the days are getting warmer and longer, and the warm weather is coming no matter what other changes we see in the news and the world and amongst our loved ones. It just feels like there's a promise of spring and summer, and it just feels like something stable. Even though it's constantly changing, it's like one element of change that is reliable and comforting to all of us. It's like the warmth and the growth. So I don't know if that's something that somebody else connects with, but it's been amazing. I've loved it. I've loved that part of this, is like just really having the chance to feel the warmth coming.
Thank you, Jane. I think we're going to go on to the next question, and it says, oh no. Okay. It says, what is the best way to prepare or equip frontline workers to help individuals experiencing PTSD as a result of the COVID pandemic?
So I don't know the answer to the best way to prepare and equip individuals experiencing PTSD. But one thing that came to mind when I read that question was to communicate to those individuals that when they start feeling like, why am I not functioning and operating in the way that I know that I can, to understand that that is normal and that that is a part of processing trauma. When you're unable to do the things that you might think are really easy and really normal, like brushing your teeth and getting in the shower or anything at all like that, and then you start to find that that's very challenging and difficult for the first time, know that that's normal. Know that that's par for the course, and that that's okay.
Yeah, I want to echo what Rachel just said, is having really giving frontline workers and everybody a better understanding of what PTSD is, what the signs and symptoms are to look for, and also knowing the preconditions for trauma. I did a presentation a couple weeks ago where I talked about what kind of sets us up to kind of fall into a PTSD diagnosis, but having all of those things that Chris, as Anthony noted in the beginning, if people had an idea or an understanding of what trauma felt like in the body and what those signs and symptoms were to look for, I think being able to identify them is the first step. And also, the other thing I'll say is we need more support for all of the people working on the front line. And that's not just the people, the nurses and the doctors and the EMTs. That I also mean all of you mental health workers. I can see all you drama therapists out there in our attendee list. I see some of your wonderful drama therapy questions. I mean you too. One of the things that we're doing at Coast is we have collaborated with RyCares and with Kodak, and we're offering drama therapy group supervision twice a month for peer recovery specialists and clinicians who are all working on the front line to help them process their trauma, to give them some information around trauma and PTSD and how it shows up in their body and their daily life, and just to give them a space to unpack all of that. And I think we need more of that. And I, as a mental health practitioner, I am not only am I worried for our frontline workers, I'm worried for all of this, and I'm worried about what the mental health crisis wave that's going to follow COVID. So that is, yeah, what a wonderful question. Thank you for that.
Can I echo that last sentiment that you just made, Annabeth? Because as I was preparing for this performance, I didn't realize what you just said meant. And then I started doing research and just like really reading the script. And as I was reading about survivor's guilt, which I told you, I started crying because I started to realize how susceptible I was becoming to it, because I saw my friends being forced to go back to work in dangerous conditions or whatever, you know? And so I think that one thing I want to say to people is, if you don't think that you're at risk for PTSD as a result of this pandemic, I just think, or any sort of mental health issue, I think you should probably just like look up online what the symptoms are and consider whether or not you're experiencing those things. Things as simple as feeling guilty about surviving, you know, coronavirus when other people didn't. And they affect everyone differently. You know, some people are more sensitive to different things. So there's no degree too far removed in order to be impacted by it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll continue to be aware of time and try to get to as many of your questions as possible. And because of that, I am gonna still try to get to them all, but sort of put a couple of them together. I want to address these questions that are sort of to the actors and about, you know, the process and things like that, and just sort of throw a couple of them out all at once and have you guys just, you know, answer in whatever way feels right to you. So we have a question from Ray Davis, who says, as actors, how weird is this process of acting like this without having the physical contact with the other cast members and the audience? I want to also add the question from Baha that says, how do you compare performing to a virtual audience versus live? There's a question from Mimi that says, Zoom production-wise, did the actors position their background to reflect where their characters live, or are the backgrounds just their homes? And another question that says, in this virtual process, did you find that the Zoom fatigue melted away as you began to connect as actors and now with your audience? I know that's a lot, but I think a lot of those questions are essentially, what was this process like? What were some of the decisions behind what your character's wearing or where they're sitting? How were you able to connect differently with your character and in this situation over Zoom versus in real life? Okay, so I'm gonna throw it to JR.
I'll answer like a couple of them, I guess. For the background, we're limited to where we live. You know, we talked about where we would have, you know, where our characters would be, but if we couldn't, we try, I guess for me personally, it was, I have to be in a neutral spot because I'm supposed to be in jail. I can't be at my desk with all of my memorabilia behind me. So I guess everybody else are in different periods in their life, you know, their character life, to where they're more free. I wasn't, so I have to have a blank background. As far as virtual versus live, I'm going to be frank. I don't like this. I'd rather be live because I don't see your faces. I don't see who I'm talking to. I'm seeing the people who I acted with. I know them. I know their faces. I can't talk to the people who actually are asking these questions, and it's frustrating. I like the energy of the room. I like the laughter from the audience, or the tenseness of the audience. There's no energy at all. I have to fake it, and it's hard. It's hard.
Before I toss it to Rachel, I do also want to say that as therapists or a therapist in training, we built in a lot of music and moments where actors were taking breaths so the audience could take breaths, and all of these things that are therapeutic in the process. And we're really kind of like just jumping into this situation and trying to figure out where those moments can be more effective and more therapeutic as well for everyone participating. Yeah, Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna echo what JR said about energy. It's an energetic exchange, and to have an audience present is it's important. It's physically something that we feed off of, and it changes what happens between us, and it breathes life into what we're doing. And when we can't interact with the audience in that same way, it's a little lonely. In the same way, when we can't interact with each other in the same way, you know, there's this camaraderie, this wonderful teamwork that happens backstage. And when you're getting together and the audience is out there and we're going to be quiet, and then we're going to go out there and we're going to do the thing. And, you know, you miss that moment to sit with each other and to look one another in the eye. And there's that nervous energy. And that really is what makes theater so special. And yeah, I was sitting here in this room alone, and I'm like, man, like this is like my green room, and I'm alone and I'm waiting, and it's weird, it's different, but yes, the Zoom fatigue went away the moment that it all really started. That once we were going, and even right now that we're doing this part, it's all gone, and I'm just happy to be doing this, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to be like a downer. I'm sorry. I I do love everybody.
Don't
I do love you
apologize.
guys. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, my background
No,
is saying
no.
medium sucks, so
Yeah.
Very
You know, it's funny. My character is supposed to be in a bedroom. This is not my bedroom. I'm in a bedroom though. I think it needs like a Fiona Apple poster. I think Sam would definitely have a Fiona Apple poster. But I would just say that, like, even closing myself up in this room just to do this, I hate it. And Sam, you know, when she talks to Anthony, he's like, "You really do need to leave your room, Sam." And I'm like, I can't wait to I don't even like closing any doors in any house that I'm in lately. It's like I just am craving that accessibility thing. In case anything anywhere happens, I want to know. So it doesn't feel right, and it pains me a little bit that Sam, that she's been down this route before, and she's had her therapist and her friends say, "You really need to leave your room now." It pains me that she's in that place, because I know that she's, you know, so that represents a lot of people.
Fetch the bolt cutters.
Fetch those bolt cutters.
That's those bolt cutters is exactly what I was thinking of.
I just want to acknowledge that there have been, sorry to cut in here, but I just want to acknowledge that there have been a good amount of questions about PTSD and about substance use disorder. And I think one of the things that we get asked a lot, and we're getting asked here now, is are we ourselves in recovery, or do we love people who are in recovery or struggling, or do we have personal connection to PTSD? And I will say, first and foremost, I've lost about 7 loved ones now to overdoses, mostly fentanyl overdoses. And I write all of our scripts for them, in remembrance of them. And these characters are very much have their spirits in them, along with those that we meet on the road when we're performing. And yes, deep connection to substance use. I put a couple things in the comment section about some tools that you can use if you have somebody in your life that's struggling. So I don't know if anybody else on here wants to just say their connection to PTSD or trauma or substance use.
I'll go. I'm 3.5 years sober. I'm an alcoholic in recovery. Thank you. I've got PTSD that I have from my childhood. I relate to all of the symptoms that were described here at different points in my life, and so yeah, all that. And this has been a wonderfully healing process for me over the last few years that I've been involved with it. It's completely changed and improved my life, and beyond my greatest imagination. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that my life has been deeply affected by substance use disorder, just with like family members, personal things with myself. Um, and I actually started seeing a therapist for the first time this year and have started unpacking like a lot of that stuff. And it is definitely because of the work that Coast is doing and of other people who are in my life. That I was able to feel brave enough to just make that decision to go into therapy. So
I'm hugging you.
Yeah. Giant hugs. Yeah, I have a lot of experience with addiction to different things in my family. I've certainly lost some people and have friends who have lost children. So I really, really relate to Karen, my character. And I also have gained so much besides all these wonderful people that I get to work with. The people who come to our programs, I want to give a shout out to everybody that showed up tonight, to people who are asking questions, because there's still in our society a lot of hiding, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt around the subject. And so kudos to all of you who are working with people and all of you who have someone in your family or have issues that you're struggling with, for being here and showing up for yourself. It's a big, big step.
Yeah. Oh, go for it, Jay.
No, it's okay. If you're gonna,
I was just gonna say, I just saw this comment down in the comment box from Terry from Cheraho, and they said, "Thank you for your words, your performance." They lost another alum from Cheraho from natural causes. It's not the same, but it was still grief and trauma for everybody in the community. And I want to say that one of the big reasons why I started this organization, why I wanted to have these performances out in the public, was so that we could grieve together as a community. Because grief is complicated, and in America, we don't do it so well. And I really wanted to make spaces for us to grieve. And so I want to give a permission slip to everybody who's watching tonight to grieve and to grieve with us in this process, whether you have lost somebody to COVID, whether you've lost somebody to suicide, to other, to substance use, to overdose, to old age, to a car accident, to whatever it is, that giving yourself the opportunity and the permission to grieve and know that that it's okay, and we're here to be with you. I also want to say, Jennifer, before maybe a couple minutes before 9:30, I'd love to do, if we could ask people in the comment section to tell us one thing that they want to leave behind from it tonight and one thing that they'd like to take with us, to offer that. I saw Sarah Reed asked us in the Q&A, our budding drama therapist, Sarah, we miss you. She asked about de-rolling for tonight. How will our actors de-roll, which is a great question. And I think we'll pull out the drama therapy box for that. So I don't know, Jennifer, if you want to ask one more question, and then we can have everybody de-roll with us tonight.
Yeah, I think what I want to do is combine a couple of questions once again that feel similar to me, although they are different and dealing with different things. So there's a question about, it says, do we know, from Becky, do we know how this pandemic has had an impact on overdoses? And then there's another question that says, okay, well, can't find it at the moment, but it was essentially a question that said, that addressed people who have eating disorders and maybe how they're dealing with this time. I know that routine and being able to keep to some of those routines and rituals is an important part of that, so that's got to be tough. So I guess the question that I'll combine, and there may be other questions like that on here, is what are some ways that we can cope with any like disorders, substance use disorder, eating disorders, any of our mental health issues, and things that we're going through that are now kind of layered with this global pandemic and this isolation. Maybe just kind of hear from you, Annabeth, as a therapist, some tips. And I also know that we've heard some interesting things from the character of Anthony, some suggestions about creating routines for yourself, or finding ways to reconnect with your body and kind of go move around and reconnect instead of feeling kind of distance from it. So yeah, what are some of the thoughts we have about that?
Yeah, grounding, scheduling days, reaching out to friends and family, signing up for telehealth if you don't already have a therapist. Zencare.co is a great place to find a therapist. I know I see a therapist. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Rhode Island, and I don't have to pay any copays right now. I am covered completely, which is really nice. So all of my therapy sessions are completely covered. I don't know if that's for other insurance, but there are therapists like me out there doing teletherapy. And I think the other thing too to notice right now is that if there's a reoccurrence of symptoms, whether it's using your substance of choice again, drinking a little, maybe purging a little, having some of those reoccurring symptoms, to not totally beat yourself up over it. This is a big, huge, traumatic event, right? And I think it's important to keep yourself healthy and safe and reach out for help, but also know that you're not the only one who's struggling right now. And if you have a recurrence of symptoms, it's okay. And you are going to get through this, and you just need to make sure that you're reaching out for help, right? And going back into what are those things that you originally learned to help support your recovery. And whoever is asking these questions, you know what those are. I just want to say hello, Deb. Thank you for sharing. She said she lost her daughter to an overdose 3 days after getting out of rehab, and her mother 3 weeks later. Thank you for sharing your loss. Thank you for trusting us to be a safe space. The question I posed earlier tonight was, can we create therapeutic spaces virtually? And I feel like after tonight, I can say yes. Another question, is there teletherapy available for folks without insurance? Great question. Marcel, reach out to me personally. Reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram. I will connect you with a recovery coach, and they will help get you all of the information you need. But that's a great question. So I just want to say thank you, Deb, for trusting us with that story. Thank you, everybody. If you could, in the next minute, if you could throw in the comment box one thing that you want to leave tonight, one thought, feeling, idea. I'm going to have the actors do this out loud. Thought, feeling, idea you want to leave behind tonight that may have come up for you. And then one thought, feeling, idea that you want to take with you, that maybe you felt tonight that feels really good, that you want to take with you out of this Zoom room. If you want to stick that in the comment box. I saw Sarah already do it. She said she's going to leave behind fear of herself and of relapse at this time, and she's taking with her staying grounded. Ellen's going to leave behind helplessness. Jane, do you want to start us off what you want to leave behind and what you want to take with you?
I want to leave behind a feeling of dread, and I want to take with me the chance to look at all of your faces for a while.
Nicole says she's going to leave loneliness and she's going to take good enough, which is wonderful. And Ellen's going to take empowerment. Rachel, do you want to give us what you're going to?
Yeah, I'm going to leave loneliness and isolation, and I am going to take with me the deep human drive to be together and connect.
Thank you. I've got Jenna. She says leaving guilt in the drama therapy box, and she's going to take inspiration and new perspective. McDonald, I don't know if that's you, Jim McDonald or Sarah McDonald. We miss you. He or she, they're going to throw guilt in, and they're going to take out solidarity, that we're not alone, even in isolation. Tracy Fairchild from Rocky Hill said she's going to leave guilt and she's going to take connecting more with great people. Thank you. Chris, will you give us what you're going to take and leave?
Yeah, I'll leave behind fear, and I'll take away the amazing connection I always have when I perform with you guys. Feel very lucky to be here. I love you.
Thank you. We've got Jacqueline. Jacqueline's going to, they're coming in hot now. Jacqueline's going to leave behind fear, and she's going to take living in the moment and being present. Marcel is going to leave behind fear for those that they love the most and dying, and they're going to take away care and compassion and passion. Maria is going to leave behind fear and take courage to move forward. And Ron.
Yeah. I am going to leave behind guilt, and I am going to take hope.
Thank you. And we've got Peter Nerona. Hi, Peter. He says he's going to leave behind frustration and he's going to take away hope. We're going to go down to JR.
I am going to leave behind the feeling that a virtual performance can't work. And I am going to take with me the love for theater. I'm going to take that with me, the love for theater.
Yay.
He loves you back, JR.
Yeah, Susan says, thank you, JR. All right, Emma.
Love you, Susan.
I'm gonna leave behind just like feeling freaked out all the time, and like I guess feeling responsible for everyone else's feelings, sort of. And then I'm gonna take hope.
So PSUL, I think this is Paul Kandarian, I'm pretty sure, and we love you, Paul, and we miss you. Paul says, leaving separation anxiety of missing my grandson and taking away the knowledge that I'm never going to stop hugging him even when I see him again. Obed says she's going to leave behind worries and she's going to take away hope. Carol, you want to take it away?
Well, I'm going to leave behind inadequacy, which has been creeping back in. And I'm going to take away empowerment. You all and the people who showed up tonight, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And Tiffany?
I am going to leave behind nervousness about tonight and how this would go. And I'm going to take away a sense of community. I really feel, I know, virtually connected to all of you, but it really, I'm so glad to be a part of this, and I'm glad I was here for this. So thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, everybody, for participating. I'm sorry that we didn't get to everybody's questions. I will throw up some COVID-specific resources onto our Facebook page and our Instagram and all those places. I'll also throw up some of the resources that I said tonight. I do actually, Jennifer, you want to tell us what you want to take away and what you want to leave?
I would love to. I'm going to leave behind that feeling of stress kind of getting in the way of connection, like just worrying about things instead of just like releasing that and connecting with people. And so I'm going to take with me this sense of vulnerability and connection that we felt tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave behind the fear that that if we weren't together as a group, and if we weren't together with our community, that we couldn't create healing in a therapeutic space. And I'm gonna take away that we did, and I can feel it from the comment box, I can feel it from the Q&A, I can feel it from all of you on here. So thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. Thank you for trusting us. And we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.